Right now, across the major cities of Europe, a silent crisis is unfolding within the minds of the working class. You wake up, check your balance, follow every rule of personal finance, yet a persistent anxiety whispers that you are standing still. The modern economic landscape has created a beautiful illusion, a psychological maze that rewards appearance while quietly starving your actual freedom. If you have ever felt that your hard work is merely funding a hamster wheel, this analysis is directed precisely at your life. By the end of this broadcast, the invisible mechanism keeping you financially vulnerable will be fully exposed, providing you with the exact blueprint to break the cycle. Every generation believes it has discovered a unique path to success, yet they all fall into the exact same systemic trap. This trap does not target the reckless or the foolish, but rather the most disciplined and responsible members of society. It operates through the subtle absorption of unwritten cultural rules, defining what success must look like at any given historical moment. Without your conscious permission, your desires are manufactured by the environment, turning your hard-earned income into a tool for social performance. Let us examine 4 distinct lives, across 4 different eras, to reveal how this illusion adapts to consume your future. Consider the reality of a 65-year-old individual named Arthur, who built his life in the suburbs during the late 1980s. He followed the traditional blueprint perfectly, securing a massive mortgage for a property that eventually quadrupled in value on paper. Today, society views him as wealthy, yet his net worth is entirely locked within 4 physical walls that generate 0 monthly income. His corporate pension was eroded by market restructuring, leaving him asset-rich but cash-poor as he faces 2 decades of retirement. The tragedy is not the house itself, but the foundational belief that a primary residence could serve as a complete financial plan. Moving forward into the late 90s, we observe the pattern of Elena, a 48-year-old corporate executive navigating the modern workplace. Her journey is defined by a series of highly rational, incremental choices that slowly eroded her compounding potential. Every professional promotion and subsequent salary increase was immediately met with an equivalent upgrade in her daily existence. A sleek European vehicle, a larger modern apartment, and premium annual vacations quietly consumed the widening gap between her earnings and expenses. At this stage in her career, her savings rate remains virtually identical to when she earned a fraction of her current salary. The turn of the millennium brought a different variation of this crisis, embodied perfectly by 36-year-old David. He entered the professional workforce during the catastrophic financial collapse of 2008, an event that fundamentally shattered his belief in traditional milestones. Since the housing market appeared completely unattainable, he diverted his disposable income toward premium experiences, global travel, and daily conveniences. The prevailing cultural narrative completely validated this choice, telling him that memories were the only true form of modern wealth. Now, entering his late 30s, he possesses a passport full of stamps, but an investment portfolio that offers absolutely no long-term security. Finally, we observe 22-year-old Chloe, a representative of the modern digital era who understands financial terminology perfectly. She represents the most visually literate generation in human history, talking casually about index funds while simultaneously consuming highly curated online lifestyles. Her version of the trap is entirely performative, driven by the absolute necessity to project an idealized aesthetic to an anonymous online audience. While she diligently transfers $50 a month into a brokerage account, she spends 4 times that amount maintaining a superficial image of success. The danger here is not ignorance, but rather the dangerous confusion between talking about financial freedom and actually building it. Look closely at these 4 distinct stories, and you will see the identical trap merely changing its wardrobe across the decades. Whether it manifests as a massive suburban mortgage, a luxury vehicle lease, an expensive vacation, or a curated digital aesthetic, the function remains unchanged. Each individual prioritized the external signals of arrival over the quiet substance of actual wealth accumulation. They allowed the contemporary culture to dictate their spending habits, ensuring their labor continuously enriched others while leaving their own foundations fragile. To escape this cycle requires a cold, analytical separation of visual prestige from true financial independence. The individuals who successfully navigate this system are those who consciously choose to appear less wealthy than they actually are. They implement a strict hierarchy of capital allocation, placing asset generation far ahead of lifestyle enhancement during their formative years. They drive the older vehicle, remain in the modest living space, and systematically redirect their surplus into vehicles that compound silently over time. This approach runs entirely counter to basic human social instincts, requiring an immense level of psychological control and strategic detachment. It means allowing your investments to do the heavy lifting before you ever purchase the costume of success. For the property owner, the remedy was diversifying aggressively into liquid markets rather than overcapitalizing a single residential asset. For the corporate climber, the strategy requires banking at least half of every salary increase before the new lifestyle can claim it. For the experienced seeker, it demands limiting major travel to fund an automated, non-negotiable monthly investment strategy. For the younger generation, the focus must shift from performing the aesthetic of wealth to maximizing the actual numbers behind the screen. True financial power does not require validation from an audience, a neighborhood, or a social circle. We must now turn the analytical lens directly upon your current daily choices and your long-term strategy. Look objectively at your financial habits and identify exactly which version of the